Hello there. All right. So Subboor, Subpar, whatever his name is. So he saw the video that I don't know if he saw it when I put it out or when Dave put it out. Probably when Dave put it out. Let's be honest. But he has some things to say about that. So we're going to check out what he had to say. It's going to take a while because this video is 2 minutes and 48 seconds long. So I hopefully we're able to cover all of the science that Subboor goes over in this very, very, very lengthy video. All right, well, I'm ready and let's get to it.
Assalamu alaikum guys, I'm actually traveling in Pakistan at the moment, so my video production will not be the same as usual. However, Farina has uploaded 2 more videos and I want to respond to them. And these videos are, one's on his channel, one's on another channel. On the second channel,
that other channel would be me,
Planet Peterson, he says something especially something that he says that just irks me to think, you know what, I have to respond. I have to respond to.
Oh no, what did Dave say? What did I potentially say? What is it? What is this thing that Subboor has to respond to that we said?
This point, and it's gonna be fun. Now, I just want to say something, and I want to.
Oh no, Chet. He's not going to say what it is he? Is he not going to talk about evolution, biology, science, or anything at all in this video? Is that what's going to happen?
Say something very clearly and openly. I'm ready to move on to Clint and other opponents and actually focus on other Dawa stuff too.
Clint? Is he talking about Clint's reptiles? I would assume that's who he's talking about.
But since this guy wants to keep trying to use my name and my pictures on his YouTube channel to try and garner more views or whatever it is, I am going to respond to everything. And let's recall how this started.
Oh, he's going to respond to everything. But is he going to mention the thing that irked him so badly? The thing that Dave said that just really, really, really grinded his gears?
Because he seems to, especially in his latest video, seem to think that I'm the one chasing him. Actually, Farina, you're the one that while I was minding my own business, you made a 3-hour-long video on me. You're the one that's been running away from a debate. You're the one that's been...
He did debate you. And Dave, so I'm not going to speak on behalf of anything that happened, but Dave gives the history of the entire thing in the beginning of the video that he and I did. So I don't know. I mean, if it started off with Dave making a 3-hour-long video, that's not Dave challenging you to a debate or anything like that. That's just him making a video.
Continuously making these assertions against me. And in fact, after the debate, what you should have done is kept your mouth shut. But you didn't. You actually made it worse for yourself. You actually made another blunder, actually a series of...
But what is the blunder, Subboor?
Blunders, but one blunder in particular.
Now he's going to tell us.
So I am going to respond. It's not going to end here.
Nope, he's not going to tell us what it is.
And do you know what? We're having fun and people are learning. And while this is happening, why shouldn't we just go at it? Why shouldn't we just have another discussion? I'm ready at any point.
So now who's clout chasing? I mean, Subboor has a lot of subscribers, not as many as Dave, but now who's the one using somebody in order for their own personal gain?
Point. You want another discussion on the same topic on is universal common ancestry true? Is intelligent design science? Anything. Or even just simply an open topic of atheism versus theism, whatever it is, Farina.
I mean, if Dave won't do it, Subboor, I'm happy to do it. I mean, you might not like me after this, but I guess we'll see. You know what? I do want to say something. Wherever he is, that's really beautiful. This is just a weird personal thing for me. I think that travertine tiles, that's limestone that they cut into tiles. I am obsessed with that kind of architecture. I think it's really beautiful. It reminds me of the Getty Museum in LA.
I'm ready for you. But one thing I do want to say is I expected you to realize that your abysmal performance in that debate
Says the guy that spent maybe 3 minutes talking about the topic, talking about evolution, talking about science in the debate at all.
is enough of a reason not to go after me again. But it seems you haven't learned your lesson. So you're going to be tamed, you're going to be neutered, you're going to be domesticated
What a clout goblin.
and deselected. And the fallacies that you came up with in the debate, the fallacy of equivocation, non sequitur fallacy, genetic fallacy, red herring fallacy, the straw man fallacy, plus on top of that,
How about the not talking about the topic of the debate fallacy, which is called arguing in bad faith?
being completely unaware of genetic assimilation, of somatic hypermutation.
That was the funniest part to me. And I talked about it in the video that I did with Dave, but Subboor brings it up, and then Dave explains what is on the screen. It says something about epigenetics or whatever. And then Subboor says, no, genetic assimilation. And if you, Professor Dave, can't tell us what it is, then I, Subboor, will tell everybody. And then Dave just goes, yeah, fine, Subboor, like, you win on this. Just tell us what it is. What's the problem? And he never did it. And I don't think he ever will do it.
Of causality and its distinctions and why it's relevant, not understanding what is going on between Noble and Dawkins. All of these things together, and you haven't learned your lesson, I guess I'll have to domesticate you once more.
Oh, please, Subboor, please domesticate me. Oh, man. So anyways, here's the other thing that's really funny about this. So now I need the comments. I want to try to make it narrow so that there we go. So that they don't run too long, because I'm going to zoom in on them. But I wrote on here, once again, notice how Subboor continues to not talk about evolution or biology in any of his videos. And then, I mean, this is just a passing thought that I had, so it's not the most sophisticated thing, but he bungled genetic assimilation so horribly. Yes. Dave and I pointed it out, and he didn't talk about it at all. Nor did he talk about the thing he said he was going to talk about that he was so eager to. And there are all these responses, and I just want to read them because I haven't gone through very many of them. So that was the other thing I wanted to do with this. To see if anything of any substance was said. And then look, Subboor himself responded. Can't talk about science. Yeah. Okay, this guy has about 1 million comments. Okay, during the debate, he literally had to continuously educate Dave on science that you love to parrot Dave for. Enough with the botting. Oh, he's calling me a bot. Okay, I get it. So then I asked, should I make myself smaller? Yeah, that's probably better. Name one thing about science Subboor educated Dave on. Literally just one thing. Now, what did Sora Jamshed? I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to get it so wrong. It'll be borderline offensive. I think there are some replies that are, oh no, never mind. So, they didn't say anything. So I said, still waiting. Then the response, LOL, this video literally mentions it. No, it doesn't mention anything at all. Like See, this is the bot calling me a bot is the kettle calling the pot black. Wait, how does that go? I don't remember. Whatever. No, nothing was mentioned. This is why I think of you parrots as bots, because you literally go straight to the comments section and either copy and paste. So I write still waiting, and then yeah, he starts having this conversation with Bling Cicero. That's quite the username. He can quote whoever the hell he wants as many times as he wants. It's related to scientific studies. Whatever. Correct. He has the ability to quote whatever he wants, but the reason why intelligent people find Subboor or subpar is that when the subject of science came up, he was found wanting. He just spoke about epigenetics in a clueless fashion. Yep. He seems to think that epigenetics affects progeny indefinitely. He redefined Darwin evolution. Yeah, in terms of just body and creating body and mind. Yeah, that didn't creating body and mind. Pot calling the kettle black. Yeah, so I got it like kind of sort of right. Oh well. Name calling peak philosophy. According to Dennis Noble is Dennis Noble, and these comments are fake. Maybe. Subject of science, could you please define what you mean by science? Because you keep parroting. Yeah, so this person's at no point is going to express anything. This is just, I don't know, it's just a Russian troll farm designed to make people chronically online so that they stop paying attention to the current state of affairs in our country. Pretty sure that's what this thing is. Here's the thing about academia and debates like these. It is okay to doubt the definition of terms, to scrutinize modern and previous understandings of terminology, which is why there's are distinctions. Subboor was constantly having to repeat himself in the debate because Dawkins, Dave refused to engage with his arguments. You're not telling us anything. Do you or do you not know what epigenetics is? If I were to simplify the debate into a sentence or two, I would say Subboor, Dennis Noble, Dave, I don't care. That has nothing to do. Literally still waiting. So here's me chiming in again. I also brush aside flat earth because and technically the Quran teaches that the earth is flat. I don't know why when you people get cornered into an argument, you resort to satire, insults, irrelevant topics, red herring, straw man argument. Literally not talking about science or doing anything like that. This is just Subboor's alt account. I mean, probably. What are you asking? So Siraj says, in each of them has their own definition. Just go and watch the debate. Sir, this is a conversation about science. You need to discuss something in your skill set, parenting, Dave, so on and so on. All right, so what are they saying? Conversation about science. Could you explain or define what you believe to be science? This is such a classic debate bro, Phil bro move. Somebody shifts the burden. It's not even shifting the burden of proof. It's doing that, but what you're actually doing is changing the subject. Oh, do you know anything about this? Could you provide the definition of this thing? And they just use that so that they never ever have to engage in anything that's being said. The best part of the debate is when Dave flat out asked Subboor if neo-Darwinism is the same as Darwinism, and Subboor says no. Yeah, but then the whole time, all he did was talk about neo-Darwinism, which was not the subject of the debate that he agreed to. Anyways, what's going on here? I do know what a claim is, thank you, and what you're asking for definitely isn't an example of what Subboor's arguments were. You say they have their own case differences. Well, then what is the case? Well, then, what is the case? Would you define one term as the other? Of course not. So hard to name any one thing about science that Subboor educated Dave on. Oh, yeah. So props to this person for joining in on that. Plant Pearson, do you seriously think you'll get an honest response? Yeah, well. And then I write, still waiting. Watch the video, lazy boy. So literally, I mean, either just a troll or a complete moron that has nothing to offer. So lazy, so funny. I sincerely and honestly don't think you watch the debate because Subboor was repeating numerous times. So instead of telling us what the thing is, the person says, just watch the video. It's kind of like during the 2020 election when everybody kept saying Trump won. And we're like, could you provide any evidence? And they just kept saying, just wait. Supreme Court, they're going to rule. Just wait. And then the Supreme Court didn't. And then they just kept saying, just wait. Just wait. There's going to be a document. Just wait. And nothing ever happened. let's see. Oh, this person said something. This person is telling you to watch the debate when this very video is a clear response to Dave clowning Subboor's pathetic attempt at a debate. Wow. What a round of applause for a grammatical. I don't care about whatever that is. Subboor dog walked Dave made. It's just a damning fact. I think I say later that I'm literally still waiting. Let's see. Squawk, squawk. It is just completely devolved. Bro, these guys are brainwashed followers of these Dawa boys. I'm a Muslim myself, and I can clearly see the incompetence of Subboor on this topic. I don't care about who is right and who is wrong. I wanted to discuss on science, not on Dennis Noble. Quotations. Oh, there's a lot more. We haven't even gotten to Subboor's comment yet. Yeah, this has just completely gone off the rails at this point. Aha! Subboor to Planet Peterson. Welcome to the channel. Where shall we start? And remember, I said that Subboor didn't bring anything up. He didn't talk about evolution or biology in any sense. So he said, where shall we start? Causality and its distinctions in related to genes. Look that up and come back. Now, I responded to that, but it's not here anymore. And I don't know if YouTube automatically censored it or if Subboor deleted it. But I basically, I responded by saying, so this is a sentence fragment, everybody. Causality and its distinctions in relation to genes. That's not a sentence. That's a sentence fragment. So I said something to the effect of an 8-word sentence fragment is all you could come up with. You continue to not bring up any science or evolution or biology or to make your case at all. And then I said, you're stupider than I thought, and I thought you were really, really stupid. So I don't know if YouTube automatically filtered that or not, but I did actually. So Subboor, I don't know if you'll see this, but I did look this up. I looked up causality distinctions in genetics, and so here's the Wikipedia page. I wonder if I can I make this a little bit bigger so we can see it. So causality distinctions in genetics. Causality and its distinctions in relation to genes, which is what you said, Subboor, is a moronic concept that a popular internet dipshit named Subboor Ahmed mindlessly parrots on his various social media channels. It's not clear as to whether or not Ahmed does this because he thinks it's fun to lie, as a scheme to sell online courses and books, or if he actually is that stupid. Experts in the field have argued convincingly that he really is that stupid. Rather than articulate what the idea means, Subboor performs these drive-by comments where he brings something up but doesn't explain anything about it. This was most recently displayed when Subboor said he would tell everyone what genetic assimilation was if Dave Farina didn't explain it, but then he didn't even try. Instead, in a state of possibly drunken confusion or his baseline state of stupidity, Subboor said genetic assimilation was caused by epigenetics. It should be noted that experts in the field of genetics don't endlessly speak in empty philosophical terms about what we know about genetics, gene expression, and evolution. Instead, they do science and get results. Nobody who subscribes to Subboor's worldview has ever contributed to the field of science or has inspired anybody who has ever existed to contribute to science or any aspect of life for that matter. So, yes, Subboor, I looked it up, and that's all I found. So I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what anybody was supposed to get out of that. Sorry. But this is kind of funny. He's still he's unironically doing the things that he's being accused of doing. He didn't talk about science. He couldn't articulate anything about science. Planet Pearson, did you write that? No, I don't know. I don't know how to edit anything in Wikipedia. I think you have to. I don't know if you have to create an account or whatever, but I've never edited or written an article for Wikipedia before. But anyways, getting back to the point, Subboor, you didn't talk about science or biology or evolution in any way. You just said, look it up, and then you ran away. like a little coward. So again, I'll talk to you about any of these things that you want, Subboor, but it probably won't go well for you. But what else was said? Subboor's own points are strawmans of science from the outset. Genetic assimilation is not Darwinian, but is discussed as part of evolution in the EES. EES? What does that mean? EES evolution? Extended evolutionary synthesis. Ooh, okay, I like it. Hold on. My Zoom levels are not okay. Let me there so everybody can read. Somatic hypermutation occurs in B cells and not in germ cells. Yes, I did point that out in the video that Dave and I did. So it's not even heritable and has no place in evolutionary theory. Well, I don't necessarily agree 100% with that because it could benefit survival or it could benefit fitness. But yeah, it doesn't go to the actual germline. So Subboor's wrong since he's trying to argue against Darwinian evolution by using arguments that are not part of Darwinian evolution. He tries to get around this by redefining Darwinian evolution, so on and so forth. Even if he argues against neo-Darwinism, half of his arguments are wrong and the other half are extremely out of date, since evolutionary theory has moved past neo-Darwinism. Yeah, I mean, that was the thing. He argued from a standpoint that even the evolutionary biologists don't argue for, which is pretty sad. It was a long thread. They presented something or still waiting. Yeah, no, not a single person in this thread has brought anything up. Some stuff about it, genetic assimilation. Yeah, nothing's going on here. Genetic assimilation is technically Darwinian. It's the process where some traits are induced in the population through some phenotypic plasticity, and then said trait is selected for, but then it becomes fixed in the population. Yes, I did know that. All right, well, that appears to be, unless there are any new comments. Oh God, the zoom in. That was terrible. Yeah, no, I don't think there are any new comments on here. So that appears to be as far as this ever went. But we'll just double check just to be sure. Yep, no, that's it. So I just thought that would be fun. That's crazy how there's a Wikipedia article about it and everything. All right, chat. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how many people viewing Subboor's video are friendlies. It only has 5,500 views, and that isn't a lot. But I mean, there's quite a lot of support on my comment. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Yeah, why don't we do this? Why don't we look at some other comments? Not just mine. Put aside your feelings about Subboor and go watch Dave's video. I truly believe Subboor is acting in bad faith. Damn it. Hold on. Once again, I can barely. Doesn't fit on the screen very well. Bear with me. I am a professional streamer. Okay. So Subboor replied to this. Nice try in playing Farina fanboy. We already saw what he did. Farina did insult too. He did strawman too. He did many fallacies. So once again, no discussion about evolution or science or biology. We're definitely coming from a position. Yes, I recommend you guys watch the video and then check my references. See, so he can't talk about any of this stuff. It's so funny. Dave was so right. He can't talk about the science on any of this. He should somatic hypermutate some cojones. I mean, that's almost kind of funny. It's a lot of friendlies in favor of Subboor. You've become my favorite person to laugh at. Oh, that's pretty. Subboor Ahmad whining, episode 83, season 12. P is stored in the cojones. That's one of the comments of all time. What else do we got here? Clearly didn't expect you'll grill him with debate after the initial video. Take the L and settle down. Man, that got a lot of attention. Since the debate, Subboor has uploaded 14 videos. Damn. I don't know how many. I didn't go look. I don't know how many of them are about the debate or anything like that. Any discussions about science or evolution or anything? Oh, here's that guy again. Didn't Subboor repeatedly mention during the debate that he has no problem accepting certain, especially with Dave literally? Yeah. Well, there we go. Let's see. Well, there we go. I don't know. Not much to look at. Plant Pearson, I did a really long comment if it's still in there. An original comment or a reply? Ace SW. Okay, well, let me scroll to the bottom so it loads all the comments. Ace SW. No, that didn't come up. SW. I see nothing. Nope. Sorry. Pearson's ums are so gay at 2x speed. That might be true. I'm not 100% sure, but that might be true. Anyways, here's the we've only been on here for 30 minutes, so I'm not just going to dip out that fast. But anyways, there is the link. Let me pin that. It's going to take me a second because I can't pin it from Stream Labs for whatever reason. And then there actually is something I want to bring up for everybody. Okay. Well, actually, I don't know. This probably isn't the best. Well, I'll do it anyway, but I want to make a video. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, and I wrote a post this morning and some of you saw it, but it's not getting a ton of traction, and most of the comments are actually jokes. But I want to do a debunking Planet Peterson video. I just want to correct any scientific or just factual errors that I've made. And I used to I know of a few in the back of my head, but not a ton. But I'm sure there's plenty of them. And it would be really cool to compile that. So if any of you know of any, you can remember some, and you know what video it was, even if you don't know what video it was, if you can just remember it. I mean, I can probably remember saying it if you bring it up. Then what you can do is, where the hell am I? Here I am. Just this is the post right here. Just leave a comment there. Don't do it here because I'm not going to remember. And just write that down so that I have. So I don't know. I want to have enough stuff where I can make maybe a 30-minute or an hour-long video. I like this idea. And I don't know, maybe in the future I'll try to keep a better running record, but what I can do is whenever somebody points out a pretty bad error, even if they're just minor ones, I usually write a comment addressing it and acknowledging it, and then I pin it so it's always at the very top so people can see it. Basically community notes. But there we go. Evolution question: why do people say that it selects for the fittest when accidents can change a lot and some selection can be for poor fitness, like sexual selection? So there are examples of traits that become fixated or popular within a population for reasons other than natural selection, but those are just kind of funny coincidences, like blue eyes in Europeans. It doesn't have any real kind of survival advantage, and there may be almost no sexual selection involved with it, but it just became really popular, and that's caused by things like genetic drift and genetic bottlenecking and the founder effect. I can't remember what the blood type is. I want to say B, but I don't think that's right. But Native Americans had, like, the most common blood type in the world is O, and there's no real O positive specifically, and there's no real reason for that. Native Americans, it was either type A or type B, I don't remember, but that was by far the most common blood type. And there's no necessarily good explanation for why that is either. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's probably not because of natural selection. That's how I say it. It just happens. So, I mean, I also don't know what you mean by it selects for fitness. So, yes, there are plenty of things that do just randomly come into the population, but we know about that. But sexual selection doesn't select for poor fitness. This is kind of a misunderstanding. So, probably the best example to use is the peacock, because the peacock is the male. That's why it's called a peacock and not a peahen. The bird itself is called a peafowl, I believe. What's the scientific name for a peacock? Or a peafowl, or whatever. The scientific name is... what the hell is it? What the fuck? Scientific name for peafowl. Pavo cristatus. Interesting. Pavo cristatus. So anyways, let me get back to what I was talking about. I'm going to share the screen with this. Anyways, so it's a terrible flyer and it stands out really poorly. It doesn't blend in with the environment, unlike the females, which do blend in with the environment. That's true for tons of birds. But this pattern allows it to be more often selected by the females, and it has a statistically greater chance of reproducing. That is how you measure fitness, or that's a way you can measure fitness. So in order for it to work or be evolutionary advantageous, or for the arithmetic for selection to work, the risk of dying just needs to be only barely offset by the risk of reproducing, and it is technically an advantage. So there we go. I spent so long on this, so I don't know. Are there any other comments? A monthly PP award gala. That's way too much work. I did do Planet Peterson awards for 2 years in a row, but I didn't do them last year. How can you bear talking this much to so many dumb fucks who make Ken open appear as a Harvard scholar? I don't know. I mean, it's funny. And even though they're idiots, typically I get to express ideas, in order to educate them, or attempt to. I get to express ideas that are complicated. So I view it kind of like practice for me. Because if you don't remind yourself of the science and the mechanisms and some of the literature, then you just kind of forget it. Man, somebody named Gordy said something that a lot of people are talking about, but I don't comment. Oh, that? Okay. Well, whatever. um, get Gordy in the call. Yeah. There were a couple people waiting, but they dipped out while I was explaining the peacock thing, unfortunately. The fake and gay award goes to. uh oh, Gordy's going off. Hmm. The gospel refers to the words and teachings of our Lord Jesus Christ, the ultimate golden standard for a man's life. Ew. Eh. I was lost just like you, then I received the gospel. You can be saved too if you have faith and do good to others. Yeah, luckily we don't need saving because there's no such thing as the afterlife. And even if there was, if God was perfect, then he would forgive everybody. Gordy still has imaginary friends. How precious. That is fairly precious. If you believe in Captain Picard, you will be saved. Yes, praise Spanky, the one true creator. You say you're against slavery, but you consistently own people in your own conversations. Are you a hypocrite? I guess maybe I'm a hypocrite. It's kind of like Charlie Kirk. He hates socialism, but he gets publicly owned every single time he goes anywhere. So he actually he's a glutton for being for public ownership because he always gets owned in public. Did you hear my excerpt from the book of Behemoth? I do remember seeing something about that, but I can't recall what it actually said. Have you seen Subboor's videos from the Speaker's Corner? He farms video content on there. No, I mean I know almost nothing about Subboor. I think I actually um a long time ago, I think I might have actually done a video that has Subboor in it. But I think I might have only done it on TikTok. Um and there's no good way to search for videos on TikTok, unfortunately. Um because I remember seeing this video of this Muslim doing like street preaching about Adam and Eve. And I think it might have been Sabur, but I'm not 100% sure. I just kind of thought about this the other day. Let me see if I can. Oh, frickety frack. Let's see if I can find it. In the meantime, what's up? Bulkata? Is that how you say it? Hello? I don't hear anything. Is that a me problem? Audio. Okay. Can anybody hear the guest? Because I don't hear anything. No, I don't listen to metal. No audio from the guest? Okay, well then it's not a me. It's not a me problem. How many guitars do you have? I have 7, or do I have 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 7 guitars. Yeah, I try to change the background a little bit. Yes, for the millionth time, I've seen this comment. It is now acknowledged. Anyways, what was I doing? I was going to see if I actually have a video about Subboor. Where are my reaction videos?
How is a man with...
I have 97 reaction videos, huh? Interesting. No, this would have been way, way, way before that. Oh, my very first. Okay. Damn, it's not on YouTube. So it's on TikTok somewhere. Oh God, but there's no way I'll be able to find it. I have so freaking many TikTok videos. And there just simply is no good way to search for any of them. If I type in Planet Peterson, Adam and Eve, it was, maybe I could find it on YouTube and then we could just look at it there. Muslim evolution, Adam and Eve. Maybe I'd be able to find it there. Oh, hell yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10, how cringe is his response going to be? Yeah. 10 doesn't go high enough. I'd go at least 15. I'd go at least 15. Yeah, because this is...
that God used evolution or the processes of evolution in certain contexts.
Yeah, so this is Subboor. This is like something he's known for, apparently. Again, I knew almost nothing about the guy. But I remember seeing this street evangelist or whatever, and he was a Muslim talking to this guy. And his whole argument was that science proves that Adam and Eve existed, because if you go back, okay, like we have people alive today. And if we go back, they had, how many parents did they have? 2, right? Okay. Well, if we just go back forever until the first humans, what do we end up with? 2 people. Therefore, Adam and Eve exist, which is just so incredibly stupid and false. But I don't know. I don't know what the hell that video was, and it was a couple years ago. So I'm probably not going to be able to find it. Oh, IP on Adam and Eve and evolution. Wow. Yeah, I'd be really interested to. Well, we might as well do it now. This is going to be terrible. Do I ever do live calls on YouTube? Not really by design, but literally I have the StreamYard link pinned.
It's like asking me if the Bible is compatible with quantum mechanics. Well, sure, it's just they're not talking about the same thing.
Okay, so how would you respond to someone that talks about, like, we have the de novo creation of Adam and Eve, and they don't understand how you can have God creating Adam and Eve, but also see like a evolutionary process? I know you have a lot of videos that go into this, but in a simple explanation, how would you explain this?
Well, Dr. Joshua Swamita has just wrote a book called The Genealogical Atom. where he notes that God could have created Adam de novo, Adam and Eve in the garden, and then they just intermingled with people outside of the garden. And so eventually they just became the ancestor of us all by genealogical relationships. And so I did an interview with Cameron on Capturing Christianity.
The idea that this perfectly fits with evolution is just, if some magical stuff happened a long time ago, and humans were already around and they did evolve, then yeah, it's perfectly compatible. I mean, this is the problem with magical thinking and the God hypothesis, because what it really does is it makes any possible explanation possible, which means it doesn't explain anything at all, which means it's epistemologically invalid.
Christianity about a couple months ago, and we detailed basically how that works. A good argument.
What do you mean how it works? There's no explanation. So now, man, if that video is like 2 hours long, we're not gonna watch it. But Capturing Christianity Evolution. I spelled all of those words wrong. Capturing Christianity Evolution. Oh, William Lane Craig. Okay. And then he's interviewing Frank Turek, who I'm sure will say no. Why evolution is actually evidence of God? Trigger warning? Oh, for fuck's sake. Is this Michael Jones? No. Something else. Here, I'll show you guys. So he's got this 2-hour video, why evolution is actually evidence of God. Man, I feel like I should do a video for that, but it's a 3-year-old video. Evolution can still be evidence of design. No, I don't see Michael Jones there. Genesis versus evolution. Well, that's a debate. Maybe that's what he meant. Why would he do a take on the Professor Dave? That doesn't make any sense. Well, I don't know. I'm not going to watch a debate on the topic.
That depends on how you define the word. You see, evolution is a kind of accordion word that can be expanded and contracted with the context of use. In the broadest sense of the word, evolution means descent with modification. And of course, I believe in that. Every young earth creationist believes in evolution in that sense, because he believes that all human beings are descended from a single human pair. And yet look at the enormous differences between, say, an Australian Aborigine and a fair-skinned Laplander. Clearly, there's been descent with modification among living animals and organisms. If you
It's only like 3 minutes long, so
mean that all living organisms are descended from a common ancestor, I'm skeptical about that. It seems to me that we don't have any good evidence for a monophyletic origin.
That's all we have evidence of. That's literally all we have evidence of. Like, what in the actual fuck?
Of life. The evidence is consistent with phyla originating independently of each other.
No, it's not. It absolutely isn't. We have somebody actually wrote this right here. The fact that all life reads the same ACTG code alone is strong evidence for it. I mean, what? Be gone with your logic and common sense. It's not welcome here. I don't know if you guys can read that or not.
Even though there would be a good amount of common descent within certain biological orders. As for the explanatory mechanisms of evolutionary change, like random mutation and natural selection, I think that within the community of evolutionary biologists, there's a great deal of skepticism about the adequacy of those evolutionary mechanisms. And the cutting edge of evolutionary theory today is to talk about additional mechanisms. For example, heritable characteristics that could be the result of non-genetic factors, as the
He's not. That would have no bearing on universal common descent at all.
Okay, so this is
But we do. I do have somebody that I want to bring up. Average Reddit atheist over here. What's up, dude?
Hey, what's up, Planet Peterson? I've spoken with you before.
Right on, right on.
I spoke with Voice of Reason. I don't know you remember who that
Oh,
is.
jeez. Yeah, I was gonna debate him yesterday, but then I was like, you know what? I don't feel like it.
Yeah, he's out there. He made a lot of claims that I wanted to talk about and tackle. But one of the claims that he made was that all the continents were together during the times of Noah, and that during the global flood, they split apart to how we see them today, kind of.
Yeah, that would boil the Earth's oceans if they did that. So you have to invoke miracles.
Okay, but how would I calculate that? Because I want to put it like in paper and pencil.
All you need to do is go to Gutsick Gibbons' YouTube channel, because she's discussed this ad nauseum. Look up her heat problem stuff. Young Earth creationists have calculated it, that in order for the continents to form, to move to their present location, just in order for just for the post-flood strata to have formed, that they claim formed, creates all of those create inescapable heat problems that they hand wave away by saying miracle.
Okay, I thought it was because of because of the water. That's why I didn't watch that particular Gutsick Gibbon.
She has a lot of content about it, and you're gonna have to kind of sift through it to find the particular quotations and studies and whatever. But the young Earth creationists themselves openly admit that there's a very serious heat problem for the flood narrative, and there's the heat problem. There's in multiple different aspects there is a heat problem, which I already kind of said. So
okay, there's another disturbing kind of thing that I've spoken with other TikTokers about Voice of Reason, and they claim that he doesn't really believe what he's spouting. He's just making money off of it. I wanted your opinion on that. Does he really believe it? Because when I spoke to him, I think he does believe it.
I think he believes. I think he is a young Earth creationist and all of that. I think there are certain things he argues for that he knows they're bullshit claims, but he just keeps using them anyways. Like the stuff he says about the Oort cloud. That's the only one I can remember off the top of my head. He just goes around saying, "Oh, it's fake," and even the scientists admit that they don't even know it exists and blah, but it's never been seen before. I have explained to him very clearly that how the concept of the Oort cloud is built and that there is solid science for it, and yet he continues using that talking point. So I think there are some talking points that even he knows are bullshit, but I think he really is a young Earth creationist.
Okay. I guess I'm gonna do my own independent research to try to disprove him. I guess with my paper and pencil, because I tutor calculus myself, so, and physics as well at the college level. So I want to do that. Work the math like in front of him, because he likes to like turn the screen. That's what I want to do, and maybe we can do some comparisons. How powerful is the atomic bomb? How much energy is here? You're saying this amount of energy got released within 40 days. Make that make sense.
Yeah,
that's my idea.
It's bad.
Okay. Well, thank you for talking to me. I enjoy your channel. Keep pissing off zealots for me. I like to piss them off too.
I ain't never gonna stop.
Thank you.
Never, ever, ever. You're welcome. No. In fact, I'm gonna try to figure out how to zoom in when I do that. Anyways, back to the video.
The first question,
All right.
okay, and this is from our patrons. So the first one is the Bible compatible with evolution, meaning common ancestry is true, but the process was guided?
I think the more honest answer is no. But again, you can just say if we allow for magic, then there's a way in which it is possible to work.
Well, it depends on what you mean by that. If you mean biblical inerrancy, it doesn't appear to be compatible because you've got God creating Adam out of the dust, not out of pre-existing animal
I pinned
forms.
the link.
So I would say no. But even if macroevolution were true, and I don't think it is, but even if it were true, that wouldn't mean Christianity was false. It would give us problems for biblical inerrancy in the Old Testament, but it wouldn't mean Christianity was false. God could still exist, and Christianity could still be true because Jesus came and died and rose from the dead. So it's a secondary issue in my view, evolution. It's an interesting issue, but it's a secondary issue. It's not an essential faith one way or the other.
Okay, so why do you say that we'd have to reject? Is that what you're saying? We'd have to reject biblical inerrancy?
Well, yeah, if we're going to say, or unless we're just going to allegorize the whole thing and say when Genesis says that God created Adam out of the dust, that was just a metaphor of some kind for God created.
Well, so what if someone said that that's the correct?
But there is a metaphor in the Bible, like over and over again. It's very odd how you have to arbitrarily draw the line here, but not there in order to preserve the faith.
Interpretation. So, right, there's different interpretations of scripture. So maybe they just say that the correct interpretation sort of leaves it an open question of how God brought about life. So it wouldn't reject inerrancy or even inspiration. It would just be, this is a different interpretation of this biblical passage.
Right. I think you can do that with some passages. That one seems pretty clear to me.
Which one?
That God creates Adam out of the dust. He doesn't create him out of pre-existing life forms. He seems to divinely create Adam out of the dust. So all the other animals are created and then you get man. So
it would seem
to be an odd interpretation to say that we could fit evolution in there.
Yeah. Some theologians think that you could have like a separate event of God creating man specifically, but then everyone else or all the other life forms sort of going through the evolutionary process. And so God sort of specially creates man somewhere down the line.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that before. I'd have to see what kind of argumentation they give for that.
Yeah.
But it seems to be he's creating the life forms individually through the days, and then you get to man in day 6 and he creates them. But let me just say this.
Yeah, so that's a good point. Because I pretty much, I don't know. This always gets pinpointed to humans. But the Bible literally says that every creation for every animal is a separate creation. So there actually is no evolution. There's no evidence of evolution in the animals either. So that's a huge problem. Yeah.
That even if macroevolution were 100% true, the laws that drive it still need a mind behind them.
No, that I agree with.
Yeah, because the world is not random. The world has order to it and structure. That's how we can do science, by the way, as cause and effect, reliable cause and effect, very fine-tuned natural laws. So even if you were to say that somehow these life forms could come into existence through some sort of natural process, the natural process itself is guided by a mind because the natural forces
the fuck it is
that when we combine, we call them natural laws, require a mind. They're
says who?
Consistent, they're precise, they're very fine-tuned.
Says my own personal incredulity. That's who says. Anyways, I got a guest, and then I'll do this question real quick. Do you think there's enough energy in an asteroid impact to initiate nuclear fusion? I don't know. I'm sure that's knowable. I'm just gonna ask ChatGPT. I really suspect not, but can a small amount of nuclear fusion occur in an asteroid impact? In theory, yes, but only under very extreme and specific conditions, and not in a way that would resemble the fusion we associate with stars or bombs. Temperatures in the millions of degrees, high pressure and densities. An asteroid impact might momentarily hit the first 2 conditions. Oh, but there isn't enough time for any fusion to occur. I don't know. It basically says that there is theoretically enough energy for it. but there's no evidence that it actually happens. So, anyways, sorry to keep you waiting, Doug. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, Eric? Is
Yeah.
it Eric, or do you prefer Planet?
Eric's fine.
Oh, cool. I've listened to quite a few of your videos before. I know you don't believe in free will, or like you don't believe it exists.
Nope.
Okay. I don't really have like qualms with it one way or the other. One of the things that I run into a lot when I'm discussing this kind of stuff with just, I don't know, I have a friend who's like extremely Christian. My mom is like a Shiite Catholic, like a ninja Catholic.
Shiite Catholic.
So what I run into lots is like my view on like on free will is generally that if God is omniscient, this is the argument I generally give. If God is omniscient or all knowing and knows everything, then that's completely incompatible with free will, because we can only make the decisions.
100%.
Yeah. Okay. So the argument that I always get back, and I'm like, I'd almost like to hear what you would have to say in terms of like, how would you approach this if this was brought up to you? Because the argument that always gets thrown back at me, and it's been like, I don't know, I've had like 4 or 5 people do this to me, where they'll go, you can be omniscient without making the decisions for somebody else. Do you understand what I'm kind of getting at here?
Yeah, I do. That has nothing to do with whether or not the decision is being freely made. What they're doing there is they're changing the subject to moral responsibility. I actually have a video on my channel featuring inspiring philosophy where we go over this, and I'll show that right now because I think it does a pretty good. Inspiring philosophy doesn't understand consent. That's the name of the video. Let's see. Okay, so I found it. So we'll listen to, but yeah, what they essentially do is they shift it to moral culpability, which is not what we're talking about.
Right.
There's also another slightly different tactic they use that I'll talk about after this. And let me run this just a little bit fast. Okay, Catholic perspective, which I think Jones is, but in any case, wasn't all of this
argue that marriage
to save mankind? So no was not an option.
Now, some argue that Mary really didn't have a choice in the matter regarding Jesus' conception. She didn't have the power to negotiate, nor was she explicitly offered a choice in the matter. So she really wasn't free to say yes because there was no alternative possibility. Therefore, it was impossible for her to freely consent.
Okay, never mind. He does get it.
But this is based on an outdated understanding of free will.
Oh, never mind. He doesn't get it. So this is where he initially brought up coercion, essentially, but then he switches it to this. Now he's talking about this concept of free will, and I think this really falls apart. So I'll let me do the talking.
Okay, thank you.
Assumes that free will requires the ability to do otherwise, but Frankfurt cases, named after the philosopher Harry Frankfurt, show that this is not the case. A typical Frankfurt case can run like this. Mr. Black wants to unalive Mr. Smith, but he's not going to do it himself. Instead, he puts a mind control device in someone we will call Mr. Jones. Now, if Mr. Jones decides not to unalive Mr. Smith, the device will switch on and force him to do it. However, Mr. Black observes that Mr. Jones goes in and unalives Mr. Smith of his own free will, and the device never switches on and forces him to do it.
I have a diagram for this, so don't worry.
In this hypothetical case, Mr. Jones lacks the ability to do otherwise, but he is still morally responsible for unaliving Mr. Smith. Therefore, moral responsibility, or consenting to something, does not require the ability to do otherwise.
What is it doing? Michael, is Mary Mr. Jones or Mr. Black? Is God Mr. Jones or Mr. Black? Frankfurt's point in that hypothetical you gave is that Mr. Jones is still morally responsible, even though Mr. Jones could not have done otherwise. So yeah, here we go. The person, if there's no other layer of intervention, then the person that commits the murder is morally responsible. If a person sets up a mind control device that makes it impossible for the person to do anything other than what they did, they're the one that's morally responsible.
Yes,
still.
please leave that up. I'm just gonna quickly screen capture that.
Oh yeah, no
'cause-
problem.
Oh.
I'd make the thing go away, but I can't on the
No,
bottom.
that's perfect. That is perfect.
This goes on a little bit further.
Yeah, go for
If
it.
Mr. Jones had the switch triggered by Mr. Black, then Mr. Jones would not be morally responsible. In no way does this answer as to whether or not Mary consented. Mary was going to become pregnant regardless of whether or not she said yes, but that does not remove the possibility of consent. Mary's not the one doing the impregnating. Mary is Mr. Jones from your hypothetical. So
Yes,
Yeah.
Kate. That
yeah. So
It's-
this
yeah.
is, I mean, this is very specific to the example. It's a little bit different, but I think it does a pretty good job of explaining how when you're not shifting anything about free will in these cases. Now, in this case, it's more talking about coercion and God's going to make this happen anyways. But we can still apply this to the case where God knows everything that's going to happen. I have another example of this, and then there's some other details I want to tell you too.
Okay,
God
yeah.
is Mr. Black. Mr. Black's the bad guy in your story. This is why I say, okay, there's a, I made a TikTok video about this. I wonder if I can find it. Planet Peterson, Garden of Eden.
Yeah, I run into
Um,
this sort of like, what do they call it? Like imposter syndrome when I'm having these discussions, because I get stuck in sort of this loop of like, okay, well, I don't know how to explain this better. Like you keep telling
yeah,
me
it's
this
hard.
because it's tough because they have this idea in their head that it's like, well, this is like, well, God can know things and you can still be responsible. But I'm like, how is that possible though, when I can make no other decision than what is already laid out in front of me? And
Yes.
and then it goes back again. It's like, well, he just because he knows doesn't mean it's, and it's like, okay, like how can I explain this to you better? And that the graphic that you made is perfect because it really explains the more of the causality portion of it.
Yeah, I have this. I can't find it, but I have this video where I go over this, and I do this satirical thing where I'm a lawyer, and man, I'm not going to be able to find it. But anyways, I run it essentially like this. It goes it's a skit, so I'll try to replay the skit as best I can. Don't worry, I'm going to use the Garden of Eden defense. We can't lose.
Okay.
Your Honor, yes, it's true that my client built the bomb, and my client knew with absolute certainty that the bomb would go off. However, there is a possible imaginable world where the bomb would not have gone off. So the bomb, in effect, chose to go off, therefore completely removing my client, absolving my client of any guilt. And then at the end I go, what do you mean guilty? It's a little better than that in the video because I spent more time thinking about it, but I can't find it. But anyways,
I get where you're coming from. Absolutely. Yeah,
yes.
No, I totally know what
God knows everything that's going to happen.
Right.
But the agents that God created are the ones that are responsible. No, that is the equivalent of claiming people don't kill people, bullets kill people. Right? It's the exact same thing, because God in this case knows for certain what was going to happen. And you could use that bomb analogy. I've used it multiple times with people. So
it is nice to have something in my back pocket that is a little bit more maybe tangible, for somebody that like what I find is often an issue when having these conversations is that people get really, and I try not to do this. Like I do watch you a lot. I watch lots of like the atheist experience. I like to watch lots of debates, but I really try to avoid getting caught in the echo chamber of never thinking about things from another perspective. So I really enjoy that you take the time to have people on that are completely kind of the antithesis to your own beliefs. And I know it often sort of ends up diverging into a a shouting kind of "you're dumb, I'm dumb, we're all dumb" sort of we're dumb shouting match. But it is nice to hear both sides of it still, to go, because I don't want to just be like, well, I only listen to Eric talk, and that is going to be the only place that I get my beliefs from. But I like to hear the other side of it too, if not only to at least hear the other side of it. And I find that, especially with the Christian right, or especially with anyone who's inordinately religious, they tend to not want to do that. They tend to look to their church or their Bible or their holy book. Oh, you found it?
The video.
Yes, yeah, go for it.
Okay. The other thing, before I play this, the other thing about this is what they're doing is they're just saying, well, it's possible that the person, like, is it God's fault that Jeffrey Dahmer killed and ate people? Well, it's possible that Jeffrey Dahmer wouldn't have done that. Therefore, Jeffrey Dahmer chose to do it. No, it is in principle conceivable, possible that Jeffrey Dahmer could have done it or not have done it, but God created the conditions with certainty, knowing what would happen. That's what makes God culpable for all of
exactly.
it. So that's the broader point. But anyways, let's play this out.
Yeah.
No, it's muted. Well, you guys could probably hear it, but I couldn't. I learned that the other day. Don't worry. I'm going to use the Garden of Eden. I literally still can't hear it. What the fuck?
We can hear it.
Okay. Yeah, but
Don't worry. I'm going to use the Garden of Eden defense. We can't lose. Oh, Your Honor, yes, my client did build the bomb. And yes, my client knew exactly what would happen. They knew the bomb would explode. They knew the bomb would kill many, many people. But, Your Honor, my client is not responsible. Just because somebody creates something and is responsible for the situation and knows with certainty what's going to happen doesn't mean that that person is responsible. Because the bomb could have not gone off, that means that the bomb chose to go off, even though there was no possibility that it wouldn't have. My client didn't kill anybody. My client simply built a bomb that they knew would explode, and the bomb killed those people. Again, I reiterate, even though my client knew with certainty that the bomb would go off, that doesn't mean that my client is responsible for the bomb going off. Yes, even though my client created the bomb and put it in place and knew what would happen. What do you mean guilty?
So yeah, dude, you know what's funny? I don't know if you guys can see this. I made that video exactly 1 year ago tomorrow.
So there you go. Hey, you know what? I think this was just
this fucking
saying that we needed to. Yeah.
What? Elaborate. It's incredibly simple.
See,
I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say, Mr. Peterson, I think this being me asking this question almost a year before you posted that video was just God's way of saying we were meant to have this conversation.
No, yeah, there are no coincidences. Spanky's divine providence guides all.
Oh God. Anyway, I appreciate you taking the time. I've been hoping to ask somebody who has maybe a little bit more knowledge about this, and I will end this little conversation. I'm sure you're familiar with the Bertrand Russell quote that in all affairs, it's a healthy thing now and then to hang a question mark on things you have long taken for granted. And I appreciate you being the one of those people who hangs question marks.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for being a viewer.
Yeah, absolutely. You take care, man. Have a good rest of your day.
I will try. All right. We got another guest. DJ, what's up?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. I just want to say I'm a big fan, and I'm really appreciating what you're doing out there, like trying to educate people and all that good stuff. I just want to say, like, I'm not like a believer of it, like at least the Christian God. I mean, from all the people that I watch, Alex O'Connor, yourself, and some others, there's a lot of inconsistencies, and it just doesn't make sense. But I am like really interested in sciences and stuff. And one of the things that has perplexed me and like made me think about like some sort of like force out there, or just something that would be not quote unquote scientific. And I'm not like gun ho about it. I just want to like poke your brain about it. Is I'm sure you've heard of it, the dual slit experiment thing with like subatomic particles. Yeah, you're familiar. So yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting to me how, and correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding of it is that basically when subatomic particles are observed, they behave as particles as we would expect, but when they're not observed, they behave as waves. Do I have that correct?
Yes, and it's, as far as I know, we have no idea why this is. I mean, we kind of understand that the only way to observe like an electron, for example, or a photon, those are the types of things that go through the slits, is for them to interact with another photon. And that just inherently, for whatever reason, collapses the wave function.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't exactly know why. I mean, I'm sure there's a huge amount of progress that's been made on that, and a physicist could explain it to you in terms that I don't really understand or would be able to repeat very well, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't want to fall into the trap of like doing a sort of God of the Gaps type of thing, but just from having it explained to me like that, or from my understanding of it, it's just incredibly fascinating to think that like a particle or a subatomic particle can behave in different ways just because it's being observed. I mean, there's no property about observation that you would think that has like a physical effect on something, right? It's literally just like,
so
do
yeah,
we
this
consciously see it?
this is basically a misconception, and it well, there's nothing about, and Dr. Blitz has some good stuff on his TikTok and YouTube. Well, I don't know about his YouTube, but on his TikTok, I know he does. But this concept that in quantum, like that quantum mechanics or the collapse of the wave function is specifically observer dependent is not true, because the wave function would collapse. Like, you can build an experimental apparatus, and as far as I know, this has been done, where the wave function is collapsed, even though you don't like check the data or anything like that, because it is interacting. It's the fact that in order to make the observation, the electron, the photon, or whatever interacts with another photon or something. That's what collapses it. And so wave functions collapse literally all the time, anytime a particle interacts with something else. We just don't know it until we check the data. But you checking the data, I mean, the sensors in the experiment, you don't have to observe the sensors. Your eyeball isn't the sensor. You look at the screen on the other side, and sorry, I have the hiccups. All you do is look at the screen on the other side, and that wave function is collapsed before it is or is not collapsed, before you check the screen. So that's kind of a misconception, and people use and abuse that misconception a lot.
Okay, well that clarifies a lot, because like I said, I'm not a believer of any sorts. I found it like very fascinating, to the point where I would almost be open to like, thinking or formulating some sort of possible, I don't know, non-physical thing that has a force on us in the world. But yeah, I just wanted to see what you had to say about that. I appreciate the explanation; it was pretty thorough. But yeah, that was my main question. because I thought that was really cool.
Okay. Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, man. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Yes, I did patch. They don't look as good in person, but they look good enough for the camera. I want to paint this room black at some point. It would be a real pain in the ass to take everything down, but I want to paint this room black. Chat, what do you think? Should I paint this room black? If I get $10,000 in super chats, no, wouldn't cost that much. Gatam?
Gautam. It's Gautam.
Okay, what's up?
Hello.
What do you want to talk about?
Like, I believe in God, but not I believe in God and also balance my scientific beliefs. I mean, I was born in a society which is very spiritual, but as I grew more, not satisfied enough with that spiritual information. So I started like watching channels like Professor Dave. Then I like felt more attracted towards it. Then I felt like God is not exactly this all good being, this who cares about everything and forgives everything. I mean, I believe God in more a materialistic view, now. Not exactly this being that creates life, takes care of it, not like that. Just reality itself, with no conscience, with no intelligence, just a system. I know.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that before. I guess it sounds like just generic pantheism, sort of, but I don't really know what anybody does with that kind of information except proclaim it.
Yeah, I mean that's just my perspective of God.
Okay.
But now I'm more like this materialistic person, and I tell my family all the facts that I watch in like the internet. Like my family disencourages me like about watching these flat earth debates and so yeah, that's it.
Okay. Anything else that you want to say real quick?
Anything else? I did not do not have much else to talk. I just came to test like whether this is actually like this website. You posted this link in the chat, right?
Yes, I did.
So I just clicked
Just wanted to see if it was real.
Yeah.
Well, it's real. All right. Thanks for coming up. So chat, I could paint the room spanky purple. Or what color is that? It's like a weird, it's not quite, it's like blue and purple at the same time. I don't know what you call that. I can figure it out though. Well, we'll do it this way. Aurora plush hippo. We are gonna. Oh shit! Is my mouse dead? I think my mouse is dead. Where the hell's my backup now? Yeah. I said to myself yesterday, I need to plug this mouse in, and then I never did it. Okay. Backup mouse. Don't fail me now. This is actually going to be really annoying. If you guys saw my desk setup, you'd think I'm probably crazy. My main work computer is a Mac Mini, but it's mounted under my desk. So there's nothing on my desk except monitors and my mounts and the keyboards. So everything, like the underside of my desk, you look at it and you're like, what the hell's going on under there? Shit. Paint it with Flurf tears? I don't know what color that is. Okay. I forgot what. Oh, yeah. We got to figure out precisely what color Spanky. Oh, this is an absolute disaster. Okay. Images. Where is Spanky? Wait, I have pictures of Spanky on my Shopify store. Why am I such an idiot? Shopify Planet Peterson. Where are we? Here we are. All right. So that's Spanky. So if I go to, I can't show you guys Keynote, can I? So if I do this, I can color match. I'll just have to tell you what it is, I guess. Okay, that's purple, but it's a very, very, I'll have to show you guys color wheel. It is, Jesus Christ. Can I get the, I want to get the color. What do you call the color number of something? It has a name, but I don't know what it is. Oh, the hex code. Okay. Hex code. There. That's the hex code for it. That's the color. And I wanted to show you like where it's at on the color wheel. Is that possible to do? Not really. But it's like, it's in between the blue and the fuchsia, so it's in the purple, but it's really muted. It's not a saturated color. It's way down toward the middle where it gets all white. But anyways, that's Spanky purple. That color right there. So should I paint? I could paint my entire room Spanky purple if I wanted to. That would be terrible. Oh shit, I didn't see this. The Greeks figured out the Earth was a sphere 3,000 years ago. Don't know why we're still hung up. Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know either. So anyways, that is the official color of Spanky, I guess. Although he comes in different, like he has different colors, so it's not necessarily. I couldn't do a blending tool to like blend them all together. We never finished this out.
To use is to compare Genesis 1 and Genesis 2. If you know Genesis 1, there is no specific creation of humanity. It talks about let us make man in our own image, but the language seems to be more about electing humanity to be the image bearers of God. It's saying, I call you to be my image on earth kind of thing.
No, it says let us create. It says God breathed the life, the essence of life or whatever into the nostrils of Adam.
That's what Michael Heiser talks about. J. Richard Milton wrote a book called The Liberating Image, and he talks about it as well. So that's So think about it from there. It's humanity sort of elected.
People that think that snakes can talk and that donkeys can talk and that Sheol is a thing and there was a firmament could so incredibly easily have believed in a literal creation of man out of mud.
Okay, so then you have Genesis 2. Now, skeptics will say this is a separate creation account. I don't agree. I think it's sort of honing in on a specific area over the whole earth. It's honing in on the land of Eden and sort of electing a sort of sacred space where God can meet with humanity there. Now, what's really interesting is that Genesis 2, specifically verse 4, says, these are the generations of the heavens and the earth. This is a Toledoth. It appears about 11 times throughout Genesis, and it always introduces what comes after the person. So if you see these are the generations of Adam, it introduces the generations that come after Adam. These are the generations of Terah. It tells you what takes place after Terah. It's a reoccurring theme. Now, if it's used in Genesis 2, it seems to be indicating a chapter marker like it does at later times. This is what comes after the heavens and the earth. It's saying these are the generations of the heavens and the earth. Basically, Genesis 1 details God electing the cosmos. Chapter 2, now we're going to hone in on a specific area. That means when it refers to humans in Genesis 1, it's not talking about Adam and Eve. They don't come until Genesis 2. So what you can get is God elects all humanity, wherever they are at that time point, to be his image. Then in Genesis 2, he owns on a specific area and elects, or maybe creates two people de novo, to be his specific image bearers in that garden area. So I would say right then and there, it's perfectly compatible with the theory of evolution. If you understand Genesis 1 is about man being elected to be God's image bearers, it implies humans were already there and existing, and God just sort of elected them to be that.
I mean, I don't know. I've never read anything that he's talking about, but that seems not necessarily like a wild interpretation, but I don't know. Like, people back then had no problem believing in crazy mythological claims. So I don't know. Planet Peterson is called Night Elf. Somebody else, Night Elf color. I didn't come up with anything. Anyways, yeah, you know, I could paint the walls black and spanky purple. The whole free will thing gets weirder when you look at it as a theist. Why did God make Pharaoh knowing he was going to have to harden his heart anyway? Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Oops. Planet Pearson, you mean Dave and me, not Dave and I. What's the title of this video? I think you're probably right. Yep, you're right. Subboor reacts to Dave and me. It sounds... This is actually hilarious because I talk about this in facts that aren't true. I talk about this specific kind of example. Dave and me sounds grammatically incorrect, but if you remove Dave, then you're left with Subboor responds to me, which is grammatically correct. So absolute fucking L for Peterson. He literally wrote a book on it, and then he committed the cardinal sin itself. I only mention it because you asked for corrections. Jesus was so famous because he was the only white guy in the Middle East. False. His mom was the pastiest of fair ladies and had the blondest of hair. But everybody flocked to their home and like, how the fuck did you guys... What? Unsubscribes. You're gonna have to commit Sudoku now. Yeah, or Bukake, one of the two. Anyways, it has been over an hour and a half, so I am gonna get out of here. I will take 3 more questions. Normally when I say this, nobody asks any questions, but we'll see. Wait, can I join the StreamYard? You could have if you would have asked that question or done it earlier. Yes, you could have. What's the best way to describe abiogenesis to a creationist? Non-living chemistry begetting a living chemical system. That's not a question, so that doesn't count. Favorite genre of music? I don't know, just a million different kinds of rock music, blues rock, alt rock. I don't really like prog rock very much, but my favorite bands are the Allman Brothers, Led Zeppelin, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, the Black Keys, the White Stripes, John Mayer. And did I say Red Hot Chili Peppers? Those are my favorite bands. So a lot of that is alt rock. So holy shit, I got way more than 3 questions. Why? Because is Dennis Noble Dennis Noble? He might be. Could the souls be made of matter? No. Do you have family members who still believe? I'm basically the only one I'm aware of that doesn't. So who knows? I know for a fact, because of what I see on Facebook, for example, that so many are very vocal believers. Did you pray for 3 days today? No. What kind of hair products do you use? Shampoo. Which religion has the most deluded followers? Oh, jeez. Scientology, probably. Who is cuter, you or Dave? Dave's too old to be cute. Do you think MC Toon will ever accept a debate about religion? I don't know. I don't know what his personal beliefs are. Has anybody I've ever debated conceded a loss? Probably not on the general topic we were discussing or the overall belief, but on like topics within it, yes, it has happened. How much Lowe's could Rob Lowe rob if Rob Lowe would rob Lowe's? At least a shopping cart's worth. That reminds me of Bob Loblaw from Arrested Development. What's Kitty Peterson's name? Her name is Kitty Cat Peterson. Is Spunky wearing a dunce cap or a birthday cap? It's a birthday cap, and 40 lashes for spelling his name wrong. Spunk. If I ever get a dog, I want to name it Spunky because of Rocco's Modern Life. Are you gonna dye your hair spanky purple? I should. Why not? Why the hell not? Questions. Oh, jeez. I would go and bust too. Will you wear wigs? No. Not a question, not a question, not a question. Opinion on the Israeli conflict? You mean the genocide? That's my opinion. It's a genocide. How could you debate Subboor when he has no idea about biology whatsoever? Once again, talk about good question. Would you debate Clint Reptiles or MC Toon about their god? Clint Reptiles is a Christian? I didn't know that. I don't know. I don't really care to, but I would. Hey, yeah, the census. Yeah, the census narrative is completely stupid. Joel Duff, I don't know who that is. I'll debate anybody, basically. The bus one is diabolical. More collabs with Professor Dave. Yeah, I just gotta figure out what would be good for us to talk about. I mean, he and I aren't exactly like friends or anything, So I don't really know exactly 100% what is up his alley, but I'll see what I can do. Yes, Lord of the Rings is great. Hair Diet 40,000 subs. Oh god, jeez. The census makes no census. Debating Clinton reptiles is crazy. He's such a nice dude. He actually is. Yes, they are religious. Some Trojan horse with religion and science. There we go. Okay, I got to all the questions. I'm getting out of here before anybody can ask any others. Please, if you know of any mistakes I have made in videos in the past, write them in the comments for that post I posted this morning. Goodbye.